Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing? I know this is an earlier live than I've done before. Not very many people, it seems, are on the same time zone as me, so I have to get ready for it today, so I figured 10 would be a good time. I know a lot of people are behind me by 2 hours and ahead of me by 2 hours. So I've picked 10. Which is probably a good thing because I recently woke up like 45 minutes ago. So today I'm just going to get ready for the day with you guys, and we're going to chat about a couple of things. I've got a few things that I want to discuss, and if we don't get to those, that's fine. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, let me know. I hope everybody's having a good morning. If my voice is a little froggy, my husband's still asleep, so I've been very quiet. Haven't had enough time to wake my voice up. So, good morning, Melanie. How are you? Hey, Della. How are you? So, I'm going to try not to continue to rub on my eyes. Up at least, yeah. Hey, Debbie. How are you? If you guys, while I'm doing my makeup, hi, Pat. It's afternoon where you're at. It's morning where I'm at. I'm going to be doing my makeup, obviously. If you guys have any questions or want to know what products I'm using, just drop it in the chat. I wasn't intending on talking about products unless you guys ask about it. You're in Florida. I thought Florida was behind me by an hour. I have family in Florida. But I can't keep track of the time zones. I've got family kind of all over the place now. Hey, Britt. Oh, you're walking Axel. That's a fun way to start your day. Oh, in Virginia, it's noon. I have family who are in Virginia. Right? Yeah, they're still in Virginia. Florida is Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. I mean, I've lived in Florida for 29 years, but when I moved, it's just like all over the place. I can't keep track of time zones. That's why I don't try to act like I know what time it's going to be anywhere else. I just put mountain time so you guys can do the difference, because there's no way I could remember to include everybody's time zone. So, oh my goodness. So the last couple of days I feel like have been ridiculously crazy. Does anybody else agree with me with like Katie's stuff, the stuff with BX, which I'm going to talk about briefly here? I don't intend to go too much into detail. I was going to do a video, but I don't know if it's worth my time, but it's worth my time in the sense of I want to stand up for BX, even though I've not really had any conversations with him. He's a cool guy. Oh, you came from Britt. Thank you, Pat. Thank you for giving me a shot. Yeah, Britt and I have similar content, but it's still totally different at the same time. Like, I guess just because we talk about things, her channel, she's kind of done more makeup stuff than I have, which is fine. I just don't, although I enjoy makeup and I'll do makeup and stuff, I don't feel confident in myself enough with makeup to give recommendations like she does. And her recommendations are solid. I don't think I would feel comfortable giving my opinion. I kind of use the same stuff over and over. Like, I'll venture out and get like new eyeshadow palettes and stuff like that. But as far as like foundations and stuff like that, once I find something I like, I kind of don't really experiment beyond that because I know it works for me. Debbie, BX is another YouTuber. His name is BX Beast Boy. He's a commentary channel, and he kind of tries to call out YouTubers who are kind of handling themselves inappropriately. He calls them nasties. He's also creates music, so he plays his own music in his videos and things like that. And I think he's pretty. I'm not one to judge music. I listen to whatever all the time. Like, I don't have a genre of music I go to. So as far as me being able to say his music's like awesome, I think it's good. I don't mind it. It doesn't like give me a headache or anything. So, and it's catchy. So he plays his own music in his videos, and a lot of people like his nasty song. Is that the actual title of his song? I think it is. He's got a nasty song that he plays, which is super catchy, and if you listen to the full song, it's really well written. I like the lyrics of that song. So that's who he is. He started gaining traction when he covered Micah Stauffer, as well as a lot of us did who covered that particular family. A lot of us gained more traction that way. I know I did. That's where a lot of people are saying that they found Without a Crystal Ball's channel. That's where Sloan he was already more popular than some of us, but he gained even bigger of a following from covering that story. So he gained traction from that. Then he got into some drama with Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Debbie, you like Katie? And you're fine to be here. Like, don't feel like because you like Katie, you can't be here. But I'm going to be honest with you. I am a person who's critical of Katie. So if that's going to bother you, you can stay if you want. You're open to provide your opinion. I'm never like super mean to her, but I do call her out on her things that I don't necessarily agree with. But I'm surprised if you're a fan of Katie's, you don't know who BX is, because Katie kind of did him dirty. You can be unbiased. And even if you can't, like, it's fine. And I've always said, I want everybody to feel comfortable on my channel. Even if you have an opposing opinion of mine, feel free to leave it. No one here is really going to attack you. And if they do, I will silence whoever's being mean on the chat. I'm just not into that. She did do BX dirty. A lot of people agree with us. I'm surprised. How long have you been watching her, Debbie? Because I'm interested to know if you were there for the BX or if you just didn't see it. Huh. So Debbie, what happened was BX Beast Boy and Katie both covered Micah. Like I had said, they both had gained some traction and some following from that. So shortly after that was when Sanders Kennedy, you like the Duggar stuff, and that's fine. Like, if you like her content, that's cool. If you like her, that's cool. I'm going to explain the situation just so you know what happened with BX, since I am going to be talking about him. 6 months? Okay. Well, if you're only watching her for the Duggar content, you probably overlooked this or wasn't made aware of this. And a lot of this kind of went down on Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, you maybe would have missed a good chunk of how she treated this other creator. What happened was they both gained popularity. I guess they were talking to each other. And then everything kind of started coming out about Shane Dawson and his questionable past. And Sanders Kennedy is the one who went out and pushed that there was potentially a criminal investigation into Shane. And immediately Katie jumped on her live and regurgitated what Sanders said, which what Sanders ended up saying was not factual. And Katie backed it up. And then Katie got in the middle of something that she didn't know how to handle. And she ended up deleting all of her lives that she did about that situation where it made her look questionable, and only left up the lives or the videos where she was somewhat neutral on the topic and said that she was just there for the survivors. Well, her first video that she put out, like her first live that she talked about it and was pushing the Sanders stuff, that's not at all really what was said. It's like, oh, here's the hottest new tea on this. This is what I'm getting from this YouTuber, and he didn't provide anything. No, Sanders Kennedy is a different YouTuber who kind of comes null and void. This is just building the backstory. So Sanders Kennedy covers this topic. Katie quickly jumps on the bandwagon without doing any fact checking, without calling the law enforcement company, her law enforcement division herself. She just regurgitates what Sanders said. About maybe 5 hours later, it comes out that Katie jumped the gun because Sanders lied, and Katie got herself in a situation because she just regurgitated what Sanders said, and she was getting some backlash for it. And what happened was BX Beast Boy did a video kind of calling Katie out for jumping the bandwagon too quickly on what Sanders said. And a way to try and, I guess, mediate the situation, BX Beast Boy and Katie got on an interview. They did an interview together, and it was recorded. I mean, most interviews are recorded, and BX Beast Boy uploaded it with Katie's permission. Katie promoted it on her Twitter and said, hey, go watch this. He's a good guy, blah, 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 blah. And not but like, what was it? Maybe 10, maybe even less than that. I can't remember the exact time frame. Shortly after it went live, Katie made a couple of comments that were questionable, and she tried to turn it and say that he had recorded her illegally and had deleted her tweets promoting it, and had pushed this narrative that BX Beast Boy bullied her and that he had told her he used to be a troll or that he was trolling. She started putting out all of this stuff, and like BX Beast Boy and her kind of were going back and forth on Twitter and allowing their fans, which I did not agree with at any point, for either one of them, including BX, to kind of allow his following to go after Katie the way that some of them did. Not all of them did, and I'm not saying he endorsed that, but that's what happened. And she backtracked and tried to make BX look like a really bad guy and that things happened in a way that they didn't. And Katie is constantly getting new people to her channel. Because of all of the stuff that she talks about, she attracts new people. So newer individuals to her channel are not aware of her doing this kind of thing to creators. She did it to Leslie Bass as well. This is a pattern with Katie, and I'm not trying to convince you, Debbie. I hope you understand that. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to make sure you understand why I am critical of her, is because she has this pattern, and what she does is so her new followers or followers who are only watching her for specific content aren't aware that she goes back and she deletes anything that would have made her questionable. So anything where it could be potentially that the other creator is right, or shows that Katie maybe didn't handle herself appropriately or wasn't professional about something, which you're on a public platform, you can't be perfect. Nobody's expecting her to be perfect, but she goes back and she deletes and she retracts things and she covers things up, which is what makes people question her and makes her unreliable. I hope that made sense. Okay, I'm sorry for everybody else who's joined. I just wanted to make sure Debbie understood kind of where I was coming from before we talk about BX. Melody said Katie had over 100 on her 100K on a subscribers live only last night. Yeah, those are all people from the Facebook group, which there's been plenty of stuff on Twitter reflecting her commenting in that Facebook group, asking them to provide her support and to go after people who have different opinions of her and what she's saying in that topic. And I'm sure those screenshots are on the Reddit. So if you're in the Reddit, that's where you can go. Terry said, honestly, how can you love Katie? Well, I mean, And Terry, I'm going to let your comment stay because a lot of people have that same feeling, but we have to realize people are going to like Debbie and not Debbie, Katie. And what Debbie has said is that she doesn't have Twitter and she primarily watches Katie for her Sister Wives and her Duggar content. So it is very likely that Debbie maybe doesn't know of her nasty doings if she's only going to watch Katie for that content. Good morning, Neela. I think I said it right today. Good morning, Mandy. Yeah, exactly, Deb. Sorry, Debbie, I didn't get back to that point. What's your question, Debbie? Hey, Amber. Hey, Lisa. How are you guys? Yeah, Debbie, put in your question. Whenever I start talking about something to keep my train of thought, I won't read the chat until I'm done. And then I go back and I read through the chat. Just so you know how I kind of operate my lives. That's how I do them. So feel free to ask your question. And I want everybody here to keep an open mind to Debbie. Like, she may be educating us on how we always have had the question, how does Katie maintain the subscriber base that she does? Debbie may be able to educate us, and it seems like she is slightly, that, you know, she is not really aware of all of this other stuff Katie's doing, which causes us to criticize her and causes us to not really be a fan of hers. She's only watching her for the Duggar and the Sister Wives stuff. If you see a creator and you're only interested in XYZ, you're only going to go to that channel and watch the XYZ. You're not really going to click on the other stuff. I can't say I blame people for doing that. There's creators I'm subscribed to who I only like Peter Mon. We've talked about Peter Mon. I'm only subscribed to his main channel and to his Peterisms channel because I could care less about reviews of Starbucks drinks. And I'm not a reader, so I don't care about his book club. I mean, that's kind of the same sentiment if you really think about it. Yeah, exactly, Amber. And she's not using Twitter. We all know Katie shows her true self on Twitter. And, you know, in one of my very first videos that I mentioned, I think it may have been the first video I did with Katie and BX Beast Boy, when all this stuff started to go down, I said Katie is two different people. She's different on YouTube than she is on Twitter, and she has different followings there. I mean, that's just how it is for every creator. You have different followings on different places. Debbie says, I have a 30-year-old autistic son myself. If she investigates all, she says, who cares for her autistic child? I have more time to watch stuff because mine is older, but still limited opinions. So she says that at one point, you know, she's kind of, and just for Debbie's sake, I'm going to talk about this. Debbie, I don't typically talk about her parenting and her child. If you're a fan of hers, you understand why. She gets very upset about that. And from a parenting standpoint, I can understand why she doesn't want people judging her parenting. However, she says that she has had nurses in the home recently, and more recent, I'm going to continue doing my makeup. In more recent kind of vlogs that I have seen, she's kind of said that, I think this was a month or two ago, that they're not coming as often as they were, that their time's kind of been cut back due to COVID. But in addition to that, in addition to nurses, her husband doesn't work anymore. He is staying at home to care for him while she works, since she is the worker of the family now. So I hope that answers your question. Do I have my own kind of questions regarding how she is able to be online 24/7? I have questions about that. I think almost everybody has questions about that, especially around the topic of her being a mother, because anytime somebody questions it, even if it's a very neutral question, if somebody's just asking how her child is doing, depending on her mood, and that's really what it is, depending on her mood, she will either answer them and be okay, or she's going to get really mad at that person and say her son is off limits, even though she talks about her son. but it's only when she wants to and when she opens that door. And then if you try and follow up with that later on in the live when maybe she's moved on, or if you're commenting after it's posted, she might come at you and she might block you. I mean, these are little reasons why people are not huge fans of Katie. In addition to her investigating, she doesn't investigate hardly anything. And that's there is a lot of information out there from other YouTubers where it's very blatant that she has not done her due diligence, as she wants to rag on about this other scenario she's got going on about other creators not doing their due diligence. She hardly ever does. And in this particular situation that she's saying she did her due diligence, she didn't. She just got those court records. So she spewed her own opinion without any actual proof for weeks. And then now that she has managed to get her hands on the records, it's Annie and Josh didn't do their due diligence because they didn't get the court records, which is just, it's nasty. It's nasty behavior. And yeah, Debbie, that's a legitimate question. And I understand, especially if you have a child of special needs, if you're not sharing the story, then yeah, they should be off limits. The only thing I'm going to say with Katie in relation to her son, nobody should comment on her son or his disabilities or anything like that. However, Katie is making a living talking about other people, talking about other people's parenting. She is judging other people and how they are parenting their children and how they are celebrities in their children, that you're kind of opening yourself up for people to criticize how you are with your child, because it is a question a lot of people have. She is either posting a video, she's on a live, she's tweeting at somebody, she is posting Instagram stuff. At what point is she really with her son? That is a very valid question that a lot of us have. So I think you're not the only one who has that question. It is a question a lot of us have. Most of us try, and I think almost everybody who probably watches my channel, we all try to give her the benefit of the doubt and just let that be something that we don't really try to go at her with, because we're not in that home. For me anyways, we're not in her house. So I'm not going to sit here and say she doesn't spend time with her child, but it is a question that people have because she is online as much as she is. Yay, Jen. I'm glad they worked for you this morning, especially with this being such an early live. She's unrealistic. She's usually defensive about most comments, even when the questions don't seem, yeah, she has been. I don't know if it was in one of my lives or on one of my videos, somebody say that they commented, maybe I was in somebody else's live. I saw a comment somewhere of someone saying that shortly after she did the live in the hospital with him, that they followed up and asked how her son was, that she freaked out on them. I mean, that's a legitimate question. That's when I first started following Katie, and I actually watched a good bit of that live. And I mean, if anything, I would be flattered that my following cared about my child that much to ask how he was doing.